What's up, everybody? Let's take a look at numbers. So I'm looking for this little green icon. If you don't have it in your doc, you can find it with Finder, or you can use Command Space and search for numbers here. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. Now this looks just like Pages and Keynote. I'm going to select New Document. And the first thing you're going to see, there's lots of templates. And these are pretty usable templates right off the bat. I'll let you explore those on your own. We're just looking at the basics today, so I'm going to click on blank. Okay, so the first thing you might want to ask yourself is, why would you use numbers instead of Google Sheets? Let's do a quick comparison here. This is Google Sheets. Now, here's my options in Google Sheets. I've got a huge spreadsheet, and it goes on forever. Okay, now, for some reason, when I scroll around on it, it all gets messed up. That's weird. Okay, so I'm going to refresh it just to bring it back to normal. So this is pretty much my only option. I have a huge spreadsheet and I can do lots of things with it, lots of formulas and that type of stuff. For basic stuff, Google Sheets is okay. But you're going to see through this, it's not nearly as user-friendly as numbers. So I'm going to minimize this. Let's go back to numbers. And the first thing I want to point out is this table is movable right off the bat. So I can resize this table very easily using these little icons in the corner, these little two lines here. I can drag them around and I can make a table, and I can have several different tables on the same numbers page. Now, let's take a closer look at some of these tables. There's lots of different options. Like I said, I can resize them. I can insert more tables, and I've got lots of kind of default templates here. And just like Pages and Keynote, anytime I want to format anything, I go to my little paintbrush up here. And I can change all kinds of aspects of this. I can include the title or not. I can put captions at the bottom. There's lots of good formatting options. Now that's for the entire table. If I wanted to look at one cell, I can also format all aspects of that. And we're going to be using some of this data format stuff in a future video. I can also edit the text inside of a cell, so I can center it. I can select a whole column and make sure everything is centered in that. So if I put any data in here, it's centered in the cell. So I've got lots of formatting options that I can do in here. Let's compare numbers to Keynote and Pages. We've already looked at Keynote and Pages in some earlier tutorials, and we made templates inside Keynote and Pages. When you made a template in those, you had to select Edit Slide Layout or Edit Page Layout, and then you could edit the template. In numbers, the way to think about it is it's kind of always in template editor mode. So anything I put on here, it's kind of by default going to be in a template. So if I share this numbers document with students, it's going to look exactly the way I make it. Now, with that being said, anytime you do a template, you've got to lock stuff down. Let me show you what I mean. We can stylize a numbers document just like Pages and Keynote. It doesn't have to be just a boring white page with a table on it. For instance, I can change this background color and it already looks a lot better. I can add in shapes. So let's say I want to put a nice colorful shape back here. Now you noticed I've covered up my chart. So what I'm going to do is send that to the back. I've got my chart. Let's change the color of that. Ugh. Let's go with blue. Let's go with green. Okay, you kind of get the idea there. So, and just like in Pages and Keynote, we can lock things down. We can group things. So if I lock that, now students can't move it around. We're going to take a look at making some numbers templates in a future video. Right now, we're just looking at the basics. Let's get everything back to our original look here. Okay, so let's imagine we're in a math class and we've had students do some 1-minute exercises and they've recorded data. Now we can very quickly make a chart out of this data in numbers. Here's how we can do that. I'm going to go to chart, and I like this interactive chart. There's lots of different chart options, but I think the interactive one is one of the coolest. So I'm going to select this one, and I have to tell numbers what data to use. So I'm going to select Add Chart Data, and I can just go in here and click on what I want to be shown in my chart. Now, right now it's broken down by exercise type. So I've got jumping jacks, and here's the student data. And what I can do is click through here, and I have an interactive chart where everything's moving. Maybe instead, I'd like to have student down here instead of the exercise type. So what I can do is go back to Edit Data Reference. I'm going to select this little arrow, and let's plot rows as series instead. Now on my chart, I can see Johnny, I see all his data. I can go to the next one. Here's Susie's data, Michael's data, and Trina's data. Now, let's take a look inside of Google Sheets at what that might look like. So I've plugged my data in here, and let's try to make a chart out of this inside of Google Sheets. Now already it's looking weird, I don't know why, so I'm going to refresh that page. Okay, let's try to make a chart. I have to go to Insert, Chart, and this is pretty much all I get. I can't really make an interactive chart. I've got lots of different options here, but none of them do quite the same thing. I could look at a pie chart. That doesn't look very useful to me. And here's the other thing. Look how it looks. To me, this is much uglier and confusing looking than this. This looks nice to me. I can make this bigger. It's interactive. Students can click through here. They can see all their data, and it makes it for them. Very nice, user-friendly. So I would highly recommend using Numbers over Google Sheets any day. That's a pretty good intro into the basics of Numbers. We're going to take a look at how to use this and some things that we can do with it inside of a class in some future videos.